Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of The State of Europe. We are a group of people working on creating a channel for you to easily get digestible, factual news from around Europe. We've already started posting our daily digest over on our Instagram at The State of Europe. And if you're coming from over there, then welcome to the Friday show where I break down the most important news from all around Europe from this week. With that said, let's take a look at the tragic story coming out of Ireland around the Mother and Baby Homes report. Mother and Baby Homes are a Catholic-run institution where they take in women who become pregnant outside of marriages and take care of them. However, care is probably a very wrong word to use to describe what went on. An investigation into Mother and Baby Homes launched in 2015 following the discovery of almost 800 corpses of dead babies found in a mass grave in 2014. But before looking into the story, Ireland has seen a number of investigations about child and sexual abuse in the Catholic-run institutions and abusive priests. These investigations started back in 2005, with the first one finding that a bishop in the county of Wexford for 20 years did not expel priests but rather transferred them to different posts. Similarly to the massive Catholic Church of Boston sexual abuse scandal unearthed by the Boston Globe in 2002. From 2005, all inquiries and investigations were into dioceses or Catholic-run institutions such as the Mother and Baby Homes. These inquiries mainly concern themselves on the 20th century activities of these institutions, ranging from the 1920s until the 1990s. The 2015 investigation found that from 1922 to 1966, around 9,000 children had died in these institutions, which would make it a 15% infant mortality rate. Not only that, but due to the stigmatization of women in Ireland at the time, women in these homes were treated brutally and had traumatic experiences. Quoting the Irish Independent, many women suffered emotional abuse and were often subject to denigration and derogatory remarks. The investigation made recommendations on further actions for the Irish government to make, like giving information to parents and siblings of burials of passed away children and monetary compensation. The Irish government has issued an apology. Moving on to another big story. In Italy, the biggest criminal trial since the Maxi trials, which took place in the 1980s and 90s, has begun. The 'Ndrangheta Mafia is considered one of the most powerful mafias in Italy. It consists of various families, of which the target of this trial is the Mancuso family. There are more than 300 suspects and over 900 witnesses. Suspects ranging from family members to businessmen to politicians and local police. The trial is expected to last 2 years. The 'Ndrangheta Mafia is allegedly responsible for controlling a large amount of cocaine flow into Europe. In pre-trial crackdowns, members of the family were arrested in Italy, Germany, Switzerland, and Bulgaria. Moving on, this week decided to be filled with big government news, with the ex-Danish immigration minister facing impeachment, Dutch government resigning today, and the Italian government being on the brink of collapse. Starting off from where we left off, in Italy. The current Italian government consists of the Democrats Party, with Giuseppe Conte as the Prime Minister of Italy, the Five Star Movement and Italian Viva completing the coalition, with Vito Crimi and Matteo Renzi being their party leaders, respectively. COVID-19 has plunged Italy into economic hardship. Most importantly, the tourism sector has suffered the most. According to the OECD, tourism accounted for 13% of Italy's GDP and a little under 15% of its workforce. And COVID has shrunk Italy's economy by roughly 10% or 165 billion euros in 2020. To help recovery in the European Union, it had agreed and created grants and low-interest loans that were allocated among the 27 EU nations, of which Italy was a recipient of roughly 200 billion euros. The Italian government had compiled a recovery plan plan that would allocate 196 billion euros into 6 separate sectors, out of which a bit over 74 billion was planned to be invested in green initiatives. Due to how tight the current distribution of seats in the Italian government is, Renzi's Italia Viva party played a crucial role in keeping the government in power. Earlier this week, Renzi announced the resignation of 2 ministers and support effectively leaving the government on the verge of collapse. If Conte cannot find support elsewhere, he will have to resign. The president of Italy, Sergio Mattarella, will have to hold meetings on forming a new government. Alternatively, he may appoint a national unity government. If such a course of action would happen, rumors are that ex-ECB President Mario Draghi may be called upon to lead the government. Meanwhile, right-wing parties like Lega Nord are calling for elections, especially because they are currently doing very well in their national polls. Meanwhile, in Denmark, the ex-immigration minister Inger Støjberg is being impeached for separating underage asylum-seeking couples. She defended herself by saying she was trying to stop illegal child marriages. She is accused of knowingly breaking the law. There is widespread support for her impeachment, with her own Liberal Party supporting the process. However, a final decision is yet to be made. Continuing along the lines of immigrants, earlier today the Dutch government had resigned over the child welfare fraud scandal. In essence, the scandal was the tax office forcing parents to pay back 5-figure sums to the government without any mechanism to compensate over small errors such as a missing signature. Many say the scandal highlights that there is a institutionalized discrimination against ethnic minorities, as these individuals that were investigated were done so purely because they had a dual citizenship. The victims have lodged complaints against ministers who have been accused of willingly allowing this to happen. There is to be a 30,000 euro compensation to be paid out. However, many argue that it is not enough. Some have said these events have caused much more damage, with breaking down of family relationships, lost homes, and the inability to find jobs because the tax office has brandished these individuals as fraudsters. The Netherlands will be holding governmental elections in March, and until then, the current government will act as interim caretakers. And that wraps us up for this week's show. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you found out some new things from around Europe. We will be linking all the articles that we were using down below. And if you have any suggestions, please leave the comments. We will be very interested to hear what kind of news maybe we have missed or what kind of things you would love to see in the future from us. In case you haven't, please subscribe and go follow us on Instagram for the daily digests. With that being said, we hope that you have a lovely weekend and stay safe.